In ancient Athens, over 2,500 years ago, the performing arts were viewed in the Theater of Dionysus, situated on the slope of the Acropolis, above the Temple of the Gods. It consisted of a hillside, where seats were added for spectators, and a flat terrace at the foot of the hills for the performers. It was a temple of the arts, for the communion of drama, music, and dance. And it was the inspiration for this amphitheater, the focal point of the Krannert Center for the Performing Arts. Located on the Urbana-Champaign campus of the University of Illinois, this temple, too, is dedicated to the communion, the oneness of drama, music, and dance. Rising past its rim are the stately silhouettes of the center's other theaters. The Festival Theater, where audiences see musicals, ballet, and the opera. The Great Hall, concert hall of the Krannert Center, designed for orchestral and choral performances. The Playhouse, intended primarily for the spoken drama, although a virtual twin to the Festival Theater. And the Studio Theater, designed for intimate and experimental productions. The university has long been noted for its programs in the performing arts. The School of Music, the Department of Theater, the School of Dance, and the university bands have developed comprehensive programs for their students and have enriched the cultural life of the Middle West with public performances. Inadequate and widely dispersed facilities, however, not only handicapped their efforts, but hampered coordination or interchange of ideas and technology between the departments. It was in response to these needs that the four-block, $21 million complex was created. After a decade of planning and construction, it opened its doors to the university community and the public on the evening of April 19, 1969. The center was made possible by the generosity of Mr. and Mrs. Herman C. Krannert of Indianapolis, who offered to underwrite the major portion of the financing and who helped in the planning. The huge central lobby connecting the four major theaters, for example, was requested by Mrs. Krannert when she remarked that she was tired of standing on the curb during intermission in so many Broadway theaters. The dedicatory concert was held in the Great Hall. President David Dodds Henry welcomed the first-nighters and offered a statement in salute to the Krannerts and their magnificent gift. For Mr. and Mrs. Herman C. Krannert, it was the culmination of years of creative philanthropy.
I came into this university along an engineering line of activity. And I felt that as I visualized the students, they did not develop their being as completely as they should. And I felt that if we could create something that would stimulate more individuals on cultural lines, that it would be very helpful and significant.
From the first, I was very interested in this project because it was somewhat along the lines that I've been interested in all my life. And then when we had the talks with Dr. Henry and his staff, and Max Abramovitz was brought in as our architect, that made it even more appealing to me. And from the very first, it's been fascinating. And to see the completion after all these months of planning is thrilling.
Not only months, but years.
Well, yes, it's been years, but it doesn't seem too long.
And I'd like to add that in the background, if it wasn't for your sensitive interest, I don't think some of the things we've done here would have been as well done. I think we always had that back in our mind, and we felt that kind of quiet pressure to do a fine job.
That is, Herman calls me sometimes old Eagle Eye.
Old Eagle Eye, that's right. Eagle Eye. Well, everybody was worried about old Eagle Eye, don't you? Don't you worry about that.
But all these things make the end objective more nearly perfect.
As a scientist, I had an almost unique opportunity. In my day, astronomy emerged into the marketplace. At that particular time, had one man made a stand, there could have been wide repercussions. I have come to the conclusion that I was never really in any danger.
It has been said that the theater dies every night, only to be reborn each day, for it exists only when actors perform before an audience. Novels, paintings, sculptures are relatively unchanging and permanent expressions of the creative urge. But the theater, like life, is experienced at the moment it happens, then fades into the memory of the past. Like the other performing arts, it is transitory and fleeting, but it is also powerful and moving. It is happening now, this instant, while you watch. It is also the most complex of the arts, for it requires the collaboration of many creators. The playwright, director, actors, scene designer, costumer, light designer, choreographer, musician. It is the collaborative nature of the performing arts that distinguish them from other art forms. And it is this collaborative quality that distinguishes the Krannert Center for the Performing Arts. Architect for the project, Max Abramovitz, regarded the center as the most challenging assignment of his career. He saw the challenge as twofold: to create proper and aesthetically pleasing spaces for audience viewing and participation, and to support these performance areas with adequate training and production facilities. Abramovitz answered this challenge by establishing a number of levels, each housing facilities necessary to the center's operation. To visitors, the most visible and most breathtaking is the public lobby area, connecting and at the same time separating the four major auditoriums. Offices related to the general operation of the center are located on this level. In the immediate vicinity of each auditorium, sweeping stairs lead down to more intimate foyers, and of course, to the theaters themselves. But it is at the stage level of the center's theaters, beneath the public lobby, where the life support systems of the performing arts are found: rehearsal halls, practice rooms, and workshops. There are 5 major rehearsal rooms. The choral room, like the orchestra rehearsal room adjacent to it, has floating slab floors and double walls separated by an airspace to ensure sound and vibration isolation. Here, the university's 5 major choral groups rehearse for performances which will be given only a few steps away from either the Great Hall or the Festival Theater. The room performs an academic function as well, providing music students with the space to learn their craft in choral literature and conducting. The orchestra rehearsal room provides an acoustically sound and generous space for such musically diverse groups as the university orchestra on one hand and the jazz band on the other, although it will frequently play host to smaller groups like the percussion ensemble. These rehearsal halls, deep in the bowels of the center, are the laboratories of the arts, a place for study, experimentation, and discovery, to explore sights, sounds, textures, for the ultimate goal of delighting or confronting the senses. The School of Dance offers 16 professional courses for undergraduates. Half of them use the facilities of the dance studio in the Krannert Center, located at the stage level, halfway between the Playhouse and the Festival Theater. Here, students learn technique, dance composition, and perform in the dance repertory workshop. The dance studio, like the drama and opera rehearsal rooms, is large enough to accommodate a full set, allowing preparation for one performance while another occupies the Festival Theater or Playhouse stage. The opera rehearsal room is located off one of the wings of the Festival Theater stage. Here, not only can the performers rehearse with scenery they will use on stage, there is also room enough to work with a small orchestra. The student of opera is in an ideal position to understand and fully appreciate what the Krannert Center is trying to do. First, of course, he is a musician who devotes long hours to the development of his singing voice. In the process, he must learn to sing fluently in Italian, German, or French, not to mention English. He must learn the art of the actor, communicating visually as well as vocally. He must, in a more limited way, develop the grace of a dancer, as his incessant practice with courtly bows will testify. Here is where the unifying concept of the Krannert can be most clearly seen. Now it is possible and convenient for the opera student in the School of Music to take a course in movement for the stage offered by the Department of Theater. The proximity of these various facilities, one to the other, is ultimately the center's greatest offering. Opera students enrolling in acting and movement classes, drama students learning singing and dance. The general trend of the theater for many years has been to separate these arts. The intention of the Krannert Center is to bring them closer together, both for performers and for audiences. Acting, singing, movement. They were all brought together for the University Theater's production of Lionel Bart's Oliver, a musical version of Dickens' Oliver Twist. The students receiving instruction in movement in this case are members of the University Boys Choir, a group composed of area youngsters whose common interest seems to be a love for the lively arts. University Theater is the established play-producing group of the Department of Theater and offers both undergraduate and graduate students an opportunity to develop their performance skills under the direction of the professional staff. Traditionally, the group performs 5 plays each academic year, with a separate schedule of summer productions. For a production the size of Oliver, it must rely heavily upon the facilities provided by the Krannert Center, like the scenery shop. The shop is designed to serve all types of production in the center. Its height allows scenery to be assembled as it will appear on stage. Thus, when a set is moved from the shop to one of the stages, all final adjustments will be completed, and valuable rehearsal time will not be taken up with scenic problems. Down the hall is the costume workshop. As with all the center's facilities, the workshop acts as both a performance support system and as a learning laboratory. And of course, the makeup rooms. Here, student actors are preparing for a dress rehearsal of an experimental play, Exit the King, by Ionesco, which requires stylized makeup. Staff member Peter Franklin White explains.
No relationship to a normal makeup whatsoever, other than it must still carry out the same philosophy of a makeup, which is firstly to make what is a flat face under lights to be seen, and secondly, to produce the characterization, look up from that, nothing going under your eye, the characterization, let the eyes go up, which you are using as the role must reflect in your makeup. The makeup is also a part of your characterization. So we're doing all 3 in one, and doing it in this very simple, broad form with these large brushes. No relationship to normal makeup whatsoever. I'll take a look in the mirror and see where we go. Now we need some shadows still to push your eye back to the deepest place. We've now got to put black behind the eye. So, down with the black brush, and let's get it in. But again, I do it in squares. So once more, you have to represent this. The makeup Maxine did for me for 3-cornered hat, when I was with the Royal Ballet. We did in triangles.
As soon as they are made up, the actors adjourn to the dressing rooms for final preparations. Each of the center's theaters has dressing rooms on the stage level. Larger dressing rooms are located near the stages of the Festival Theater and Playhouse. Individual dressing rooms are also provided for these theaters, an important consideration when famous stars are invited to perform in the center. And finally, on stage, where the director can check out makeup and costumes under the lights. This production is being staged in the Studio Theater, the most unusual of the center's auditoriums. It is designed for intimate and experimental productions like Exit the King. It is essentially a black rectangular box where all equipment, including seating, is movable. This allows a director to design a layout for stage and audience best suited to his production. In one play, the audience may be placed around 3 sides of the stage. In another, they may completely surround the action. Or they may end up in the center, with the actors surrounding them. In these studio theater productions, greater student participation is encouraged in the areas of playwriting, directing, costume, set, and lighting design. It was the promise of such activities as this that prompted Chancellor Jack Peltison to remark that the silhouette of Krannert Center will someday be familiar to all who participate in the lively world of arts in America. More praised and cherished, however, he concluded, will be the work that goes on inside.